ladies and gentlemen, to the Play Action Podcast, episode number 41, the 41st installment. I am just jumbling up my words. I am Will, and we got Colin, who's back from vacation. Colin, how was the vacation on a scale to 0 to 10?
It was probably a 9.5, 9. You can't go wrong with the Outer Banks. Not talking about the show, folks. It's absolutely nothing like the show, in case you're wondering. Never watched the show, by the way. But, yeah, it's a wonderful time. I love it. Down by the beach, you don't have to worry about any hectic stuff going on. Just go to the beach, relax, go back to the house. All on your speed. I love it. But enough about me. Big shout out to you there. Big job, Will. So big shout out to you for your job, man. I'm happy for you. There goes our betting segment. Good job, Will. Thanks, buddy. Look what you did. Look at you. Being selfish. Wow. But nah, seriously, congrats to you, man. I'm happy for you, and can't wait to see what you do there.
Thank you, Colin. For those that don't know, I just recently got a job with the NFL this past week. Started today, so learning everything about the NFL with highlights and all that stuff. So we're putting them right on the air as they go through, and it's just a very exciting time. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Play Action Podcast.
This is the Play Action Podcast featuring Will.
It's not every time. It's not every time.
Every time.
Featuring Colin.
The guy, if you go back into our division thing, this guy had the Jets.
I picked the Jets to win.
For no what reason?
Yeah.
Featuring a whole lot of arguing.
Playoffs, we're gonna win the division.
Listen. You need to
what?
realize my thinking process here because the
No,
Bills.
there is no thinking process,
I
Will. There is no thinking process.
let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
And I told people the Steelers were gonna be decent. I didn't have the Steelers like, oh, they're godly. No, I was realistic. You were very unrealistic with the Jets.
Colton,
and guess who was right and guess who was wrong, Will? You were dead wrong about the Jets. I was dead right about Goat Allen and the Bills, and I was right about the Steelers. Come on now.
I'm not allowed to bet anymore, but I'm gonna just say this between you and I Jets are getting the 7th seed. I'm gonna confirm this right now. Okay, I gotta start this heat right now. I gotta start laying this smackdown right now.
So I see you haven't learned. You get your big job and you still haven't learned. Oh, my.
You still go full idiot mode, Will. Congratulations.
You're the guy that can yell at me now, Mr. NFL. But yeah, they're not finishing the 7th seed. The AFC's loaded, man. Easy on that. Oh my goodness gracious.
But ladies and gentlemen, the 41st installment of the Play Extra Podcast. I am Will, and this is Colin. You can follow us on wherever you find your social medias: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Let me get this banner up here. Follow our shows with the banners on the scrolling tab right down there. Drop a follow, drop a like, wherever you go, follow your shows. We will greatly appreciate what you want to put out on here. Drop a comment in the comment section and all this. And we got mom here just to go to the playoffs.
Well, I had to put you back in reality last year, and look how that ended up. You ended up with the 2nd overall pick. I think they're a few years out. I do think they're going in the right direction. I think they finally have the correct coach. They finally have the correct GM. Jets are going to be good in probably like 2 or 3 years, my opinion on the matter. But don't want to upset mom any more than I already have. But they're not far off. I'll be honest. I do think the Jets are going in the right direction. I do like Zach Wilson a lot. But last time I checked, this is not the AFC East episode.
This is probably the best division of football. I'm just gonna say this division for the last 2 years is just one of the most competitive ones of them all. The NFC West. Now, let's kind of go into this. We're going to be starting out with the 49ers, Super Bowl runner-ups 2020, pre-pandemic. Jimmy G is, I would want to say, the proclaimed starter. They trade the house. They trade a boatload away. I believe it was the Dolphins, to trade up to get Trey Lance, guy that didn't really play at all in the 2020 season for North Dakota State. But I mean, the quarterback guru and Kyle Shanahan, he always knows what to do with his quarterbacks. And you've seen from RG3, you've seen from Jimmy G, Matt Ryan, Matt Schaub. He knows what he's doing. do you think they traded way too much for a guy that really shouldn't have been taken in the top 3 of this past draft?
No, I think he's looked pretty decent so far in preseason training camp. They like a lot what he's doing. I think he has the biggest upside in the draft, honestly. The way the league's going, where you have to use your legs and have a big arm, that's what this kid has. So, and he's got a really good head coach that's really good offensively. They like running the ball a lot. As if you look at the running back group there with Trey Sermon, I liked him a lot coming out of Ohio State. Wayne Gallman, who I think the Giants should have kept personally, they didn't. Building great for Saquon Barkley, and you clearly cannot forget Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert, that's my guy. I like the receivers too. I do think Ayuk and Samuel had a little case of the drops. He's the last preseason game, and Mohamed Sanu as well. But I do like this whole offense in general for him. He's got a really good offensive line. He's got a bright future, I think, if everything pans out. He's got the right head coach. That's what it comes down to. We saw how that didn't work out in Jets world with Adam Gase, with Sam Darnold. You need a good head coach. You need a good organization for a young quarterback, because figure those top quarterbacks that are taken in the drafts, they're going to bad organizations for the most part, or bad run teams. This kid gets lucky and he gets to go to a really good team that shouldn't have been that bad, but they work as injuries. And, geez Louise, their whole defense fell apart. They were all in the IR. So I think he's in a really good spot here, and he's got a lot of upside.
And as you said, great receiving core, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. And you also have really good depth, as we had to see a couple of games last year with Richie James and Jalen Hurd. George Kittle, best tight end in the league. Not sure if you want to, debate that, but the man's top 5, top 3, top 2.
I think Killer Trav keeps that one. I think Travis Kelce's that number 1 guy, but these two are right there. It's not a question who the top 2 guys are in the NFL. It's these guys. We had Mark Andrews coming to the list 2 years ago, and he was really, really good for the Ravens. Yeah, no, these two are the best. We'll see what happens with Kyle Pitts. This kid is up there in the discussion of upside with these guys, but George Kittle's and Bitts is, he's really good at football, and so is Travis Kelce. So, I can't really argue with that, man. They're the top 2 for sure, and it's not even close to anyone else.
And also the offensive line. They bring in Alex Mack from the Atlanta Falcons. They signed Trent Williams at 5 in the morning. I remember this because I woke up and I actually reported this at 5:30. $136.3 million. He just beat out David Bakhtiari by like $200,000 to be the richest offensive lineman in NFL history. Congrats to him. But offensive line as a whole, it's in the middle. I think it's high. It's in the top 16. It's not going to be below. It's really good pieces here with McGlinchey, who you drafted about 3 years ago, Lackland Thompson. Right guard, Aaron Banks, I'm not too sure about him, but 4 of the 5 pieces are, solid glue for Jimmy G or Trey Lance, whoever's going to be starting. More than likely, it's going to be Jimmy G.
Yeah, like I said, I have to agree with everything you just said. Yeah, they're going to be good. They traded to get Trent Williams. They kept him. They weren't going to let him go. And here they are. And again, the offense is really good. I really would like another more reliable receiver because these guys are both young. Deebo Samuel's been really good when he's been healthy. Problem is the health part. Brandon Ayuk, I think, has a really, really big potential to be their best receiver. I do like Deebo Samuel a lot, but I think Ayuk is something special. I believe he's from Colorado. I believe Brandon Ayuk came out of Colorado. Or no, that might be Laviska Shenault. I think Brandon
That's
Ayuk.
Laviska Shenault. Ayuk came out of Arizona.
Arizona State for him. Yes, correct. I think he's got the potential to lead this receiving core. I think the ability of him to do everything. He can literally do it all. Go up and make plays. He's explosive with his legs. So you got a jet sweep. Good luck trying to tackle him. He's going to hurdle you. He did that last year. Yeah, he's really special. So I think another receiver would be nice for a guy like Trey Lance, but this team loves running the football, and I think you're going to see plenty of that this year again.
Let's look on defense, as this defense had injuries on every single position last year. But the surprising thing about this, the defense finished top 5. somehow running second stringers as their starters for most of the year. Nick Bosa comes in, he returns from ACL injury. I believe Eric Armstead also did, in fact, tear his ACL. There was just injuries all over the place, but you had some bright spots, from, the backups too. But the biggest piece, Robert Saleh's not there as defensive coordinator after 4 years. He heads over to the Jets, and he takes along basically every single staffer that was on the 49ers. But they were able to sign Fred Warner to a nice $95 million extension. Nick Bosa is going to be up next on the extension list. Javon Kinlaw had a fairly decent rookie campaign last year. Richard Sherman's not there anymore. He's dealing with, police stuff. But the corners, I really like the corners. Emmanuel Mosley, Jason Verrett, Kwan Williams. I love those three. And also Dante Jackson. Well, Dante Johnson. I don't know why I said Dante Jackson. But this defense is still a force to be reckoned with. And I don't think you need to worry about, losing a very good defensive-minded coach. This team could still produce no matter what they do.
Yeah, I think this is still one of the best defenses in football. Like you just said, the biggest part is staying healthy. If they stay healthy, they're going to be really scary again. And Fred Warner, one of the best guys on the inside to do it. Probably the next up-and-coming Bobby Wagner. Ironically, in the same division. So, kick and ball. So, we'll see. Well, I mean, they should be good. They should bounce back as long as they stay healthy. That's why they were last in the division last year, because of health. They stay healthy, they're going to be competitive and really good. So have fun, NFC West.
Do you think this team can honestly get back to the Super Bowl? I mean, a year off, injuries, the COVID year, everything kind of fell apart for them very early on.
You saw Jimmy G take him there. They've lost a few pieces defensively. Not saying they're not like, oh, they're bad now. Like, oh, look, they lost a few guys. They're still really good. I think Trey Lance could put them over that edge. Problem is it's his rookie year, so you don't really see any that happen ever where a guy takes him that far. I highly doubt it this year, but they could definitely win it all in the next few years, especially if Trey Lance turns out to be the quarterback they drafted him. The position they drafted him at, I think they will be back in soon, I think, in my opinion.
Well, let's shift focus here. Let's go into the desert where, coincidentally, the 49ers ended up sharing a stadium for the last quarter of the season last year. The Arizona Cardinals, where Kyler Murray and D-Hop are, off season together. They are practicing and all that. Kenyon Drake, who was acquired, gone. Chase Edmonds is the guy. One of your former Steelers, James Conner, backup right now. I love the offense here. I really do. I like the best piece they did acquire was Rodney Hudson from the Las Vegas Raiders. Almost said Oakland Raiders. That would have been really, really bad. But Rodney Hudson, you're giving him a good quality offense.
I got to hold you accountable from now on. See, you work for the NFL, man. You can't botch these things.
Yeah, I can't botch this stuff anymore.
PR people on you.
They're going to be sending me the HR.
Podcast, Will, and you called them Oakland, Will. Last time I checked, they've been in Vegas for a few seasons now. This is come
Very
on,
bad.
Will. But no, you got yourself.
Niners win the division.
That's my guy, TJ. I don't think so. They very well can. I don't think Arizona does it. The team I love is the Rams. We'll get to them in a minute. I think the Rams are going to be really scary. But while we're talking this team, I think James Conner is probably the number one running back. They do love Chase Edmonds there, and I can't disagree with him. He's really explosive, does it all. I like this offense. Kyler has to be good. He has to play better. He hasn't been up to the par of where we all expected Kyler to be. He makes these plays. There's weapons all over the place. Christian Kirk's been really good coming out of Texas A&M. AJ Green, clearly when he's healthy, he's top 20 receiver, top 15. Might even be top 10 when he's on the top of his game. And then D-Hop, there's no introduction needed for him. So Kyler's got to pick his play up. Kingsbury's got to pick it up. And again, it's really hard. But if you make a few mistakes, you're going to be in last place in this division. I know they made some few offseason acquisitions on the defensive side of the ball. We'll get to that in a minute. And Corey Rodney Hudson's big one from the Raiders. Fleece job, nice job, Vegas. But it's just Kyler has to play good. That's what it comes down to for this Cardinals team to be successful and go where they want to go. That was your dark horse last season. They had a little run. It was like, here we go, here they come. And then they sputtered, and they should have lost to Buffalo if it wasn't for D-Hop. And I think that would have been 4 losses in a row to end the season if they didn't get that miracle win against the Bills.
I believe so. I think they were in the hunt until week 17, and then Jared Goff got hurt, and then Kyler got hurt that last game. So it was just the battle of the backups. And as you know, with Arizona in recent history, once their starter goes out, the backups are just. I don't even know if their backup quarterbacks even practice at that point. Their backups are just atrocious.
Yeah, it comes down to Kyler. Seriously, that's kind of where I'm at with this team. If Kyler plays exceptionally well, like he should, enough's enough. He's got weapons. He's got an offensive line. That's not awful. It's put up or shut up for Kyler Murray. That's kind of where we're at. I'm on that with Daniel Jones. He's got a boatload of weapons. It's kind of where I'm at with Kyler. So I get Kyler has a little more excuse than Daniel Jones because the division's absolutely loaded. It's the best in football. There's a lot of really good defenses in the division. Pretty much 2 of the best are in this division. So I understand why it's you got to give Arizona some slack. If Arizona doesn't get near the 7 spot or sniffing range of it, and they're in the bottom of this division, and because you have a healthy San Fran this year, hopefully for football, this team can easily finish last if Kyler doesn't play well and to the standard where Kyler should play. He's got 2 top receivers, honestly 3. He's probably got one of the best tandems if they're all healthy in football. Christian Kirk's really, really good. He's a solid 2, probably one of the better 3 receivers in football. He's got one of the best, if not the best receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. And we know what A.J. Green is when he's healthy. Again, that's the problem with A.J. Green. He hasn't been healthy the past 3 seasons in Cincinnati. But enough's enough. Kyler has to play well. There's literally no reason he doesn't play well. Seriously.
Let's head over to the defensive side of the ball. I like the front 7. The back end, besides Budda Baker, I'm not really a fan of the rest of the other pieces. All the other pieces are kind of they're kind of exiting their prime, or they're kind of just there to fill up holes. But the front 7, you got Chandler Jones, you have Isaiah Simmons, you go up and you get Zevin Collins, Marcus Golden, who had a phenomenal season last year. You get J.J. Watt on a 2-year deal, technically 5-year, but it's really 2-year after all the voids and all that stuff happened. The front 7, I love. The front 7's probably it's scary. But the back end, I'm not a fan of Malcolm Butler anymore. I think he's kind of slowly exiting his way out. Same as Robert Alford. You had 2 Super Bowl heroes. Coincidentally, Malcolm Butler in the same stadium as he's going to be playing in for at least 8 games this year. And then you have Robert Alford, and then Darqueze Denner, who didn't really show up. He had some flashes with Cincinnati when he was drafted, but other than that, he wasn't really the man that Cincinnati did see when he was drafted, I believe, back in 2014.
Yeah, around that time at Michigan State, Darqueze Denard. Yeah, the defense, they brought in some pieces. I like it. They also lost some guys. Where's the name I'm forgetting where they lost? Oh, my gosh. I think he's with the Panthers, I think. He had 10
they lost Dan Arnold, and then they had another guy on defense. I know who you're talking about. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Hassan Reddick. That's it.
Yes.
Temple, man. But, yeah, again, the defense isn't as good as San Fran or L.A.
It's I was going to say it's the worst in the division. No, I looked at Seattle's. Seattle's is worse.
Don't forget Seattle. But it's good enough to make a wild card spot. You have to beat some of the good teams in this division. You have to. I'm not saying sweep them. It's not happening. But you got to win your home games. If you can beat the Rams in San Fran at home, you will have it. They should be in the playoffs by then. They should be a 7 seed if they can win their home games. This division is absolutely loaded, but if they don't even win the division, I get it because there's teams that are better than them in the division. You have to prove that you can hang with the big dogs. And Kyler has to play well. It's seriously what it is. They made some moves on the defense. Kyler has to play well. Seriously, that's literally cut and dry on the Cardinals. Kyler has to play well and has to improve. He has to.
Would you believe too if this is like Kingsbury's beginning of the hot seat?
Absolutely.
They've made moves. They didn't really go. I can't really blame Kyler for a lot of this bad fault. They got to just run the ball a lot more. And when they shifted out David Johnson when he did get hurt 2 years ago against the Giants, Chase Edmonds stepped in, Kenyon Drake stepped in, and they were running the ball a lot more. Last year, didn't really see him running the ball. He's just kind of really progressing that Texas Tech air raid offense.
Yeah, it's not a good look when you have two really, really good secondaries in San Francisco, and clearly the Rams secondary is kind of scary. One of the best secondaries in football behind the Ravens. Yeah, you have run the ball. That's how the game is. It really is. That's why I've been screaming at my TV about the Steelers. Run the football.
I think they could split with each team in the division. I think they could. Rams maybe not, but I think they could still pull off a win, or they could pull off at least one win against the Niners and the Seahawks.
They have to. Again, I'm gonna stop beating a dead horse after this. It literally comes down to Kyler Murray. Kingsbury's on the hot seat if he doesn't do well this season, because that was your guy. You will succeed with Kyler Murray. Yeah, Kyler Murray, like, he had that great rookie campaign. It's like, wow, this kid's something special. Yeah. Again, I'm not asking him to carry this team because, to be honest, Chase Edmonds is a solid running back. James Conner is a very solid running back when he's healthy. Use the run game. Use it. You have Kyler's legs. Use them. And he can throw. He's literally very similar to Lamar Jackson, not as twitchy as Lamar, clearly in the run game. But he can run. He's like 2 foot tall. Have fun trying to tackle him. Like, he knows how to slide. He's a baseball player. Like, use that to your advantage. Use a little zone run scheme with Chase Edmonds. Have fun with that. Kingsbury's got to get this offense figured out. He has to. And he's got some guys on the defense that can make some plays. Again, they're not the best, but they can make plays. They'll get some turnovers. J.J. Watt can still make a turnover. Chandler Jones still one of the best pass rushers in football. Isaiah Simmons needs to be better this season.
They just have to figure out how to use Simmons. They just didn't last year.
No, that's on coaching. Figure it out. When you draft a guy like that who's one of the best players in the draft overall, I thought he might have been the best player in the draft because he can literally do whatever. And you never really heard his name. It was kind of weird. Like, how do you draft a player like that and you not really hear anything about him?
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to be better, Kingsbury, or he's literally on the hot seat. He might even be fired how bad the season goes for Arizona. So he's better be ready to fight this season.
Let's head over to LA, where LA had made a bunch of money moves. At least 6 or 7 players in this roster accumulate at least like 33 to 50% of just their cap space alone. They trade away Jared Goff and 2 firsts to acquire Matthew Stafford, and one of the weirdest endings of the Rams season, benching Jared Goff due to a thumb injury and starting John Wolford for a playoff game for some unknown reason. The McVay and Goff situation implodes. He leaves. Gurley's gone. It's a whole new feel right now for the LA Rams. They just acquired Sony Michel on Wednesday morning for, I believe, a 5th round pick, but it could go to a 4th round pick. But what's weird about it is the comp pick that they could get if it becomes a 4th round pick, New England. The Rams don't have a 4th round pick. So I don't know how they're going to be comping into a 4th round pick at some known issue. I don't know. I'll figure it out eventually. But this offense with Matthew Stafford, good luck. That's all I have to mention. Just good luck. Matthew Stafford, top 2 arm in the league still. I mean, hey, he's been at 12th year in the league. Mahomes obviously has a better, stronger arm because he's youthful. Matthew Stafford, I'm going to put it a clear number 2. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Let's play the intro again. Goat Allen, I think would like to have a question on.
I honestly forgot that Josh Allen exists half the time. I think that's probably just like a me thing. I just choose to forget.
But don't worry. Reality will. Don't worry. You ain't forgetting about him for the next 10 years. But no, I love this team. This is my early Super Bowl team. Yeah, I love them a lot, actually. I don't like it after the injury to what's his name, Cam Akers. I thought he was going to be really, really explosive year 2. I was kind of like, oof, can't wait to grab him somewhere in fantasy. Daryl Henderson was good. I do like the addition of Sonny Michel. Sonny Michel, his first year, looked really good with the Patriots. Like, ooh, here we go. And then all of a sudden fell off a cliff. I think McVay will clearly pick that one back up. Like, thanks. We'll gladly take Sonny Michel for that. And I think he's going to be pretty good for them. And, I mean, just Sean Jackson take the top off, and two fantastic route runners in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. And then Van Jefferson stepping in that slot role because they did let Josh Reynolds go. Yeah, the offensive line is getting a little older. Andrew Whitworth, probably one of the oldest left tackles in the game, but they're good. I'm excited to watch them. My only thing is Stafford hasn't played any meaningful football. It's like, oh, we feel bad for Stafford. Stafford also does it to himself. So I get Detroit didn't put anything around him. I don't blame him. He had no run game ever, pretty much. But we'll see. He's got pressure. It's like the Browns. They have expectations. Clearly LA always had I'm talking Stafford having expectations. Like, yeah, there's no slouching. This is you, my man. Like, let's go. They upgraded, they say, over Jared Goff. Let's see what you can do. Play meaningful football. Can you win some games in the clutch? Again, he's one of the toughest guys in football. I love Matthew Stafford. But we'll see. It's put up or shut up for Stafford. He's kind of been hidden in Detroit. It's like, I've been given garbage. I'm in Detroit. Like, look at me, guys. Feel bad for me. He's in probably the best situation you could possibly ever imagine. It's put up or shut up for Stafford as well.
Stafford's list that he submitted to the Lions to where he wanted to be traded was number 1, the Rams, 2, the 49ers, and 3, the Colts. And I got to say the Rams are probably the best fit out of all of them because this team is just so prepared to win now. The Colts are very youthful, and I think they can honestly make a deep playoff run in like a year or two. The 49ers, I just wouldn't be a fan of him in the Bay Area. I don't know why. It's just like superstition, but like I think Sean McVay will honestly be able to toy with Stafford and make sure Stafford can get the job done.
I don't disagree with you.
Defense, I mean, this defense has been scary for, I don't know, since they moved back to LA. This team has been scary. Jalen Ramsey is still there. Darius Williams, Leonard Floyd, I believe they just reacquired. But Aaron Donald, this team has everything they need to do to make a Super Bowl run. But this involves the guy under center who's 0-3 in the playoffs, Matthew Stafford. Can Stafford win a playoff game? This is basically like I'm trying to like compare it to like a different sport. I don't know what it is, but can LeBron James basically win a title in Cleveland, which he ended up showing he could. But can Matthew Stafford get a win column in that playoff spot?
He has all the tools to be successful in the playoffs. This is one of the best defenses in football, led by one of the top corner, if not top 2 corner. And that's hard to say in a league where you can't touch receivers, having a lockdown corner. Yeah, they have one. They have the best defensive player in Aaron Donald. Again, I think TJ Watt was robbed of Defensive Player of the Year, but we'll see that for another time. But Leonard Floyd has seemed to, figure it out, getting traded to the Rams from Chicago, I believe. I think that's where he was, right? Was he in Chicago? Where the heck was he?
Who? Leonard
Floyd, wasn't he in
I
Chicago?
believe he was in Chicago, and then he went to LA for a year.
Yeah.
I think he went somewhere else, and then he went back to LA.
Yeah, he's kind of figured it out. Their secondary, it's like, who are these guys and are here making plays? This is what happens when you play with a guy like Jalen Ramsey. He's going to teach you a thing or two, and yeah, their secondary is really scary. Sebastian Joseph Day has been really good for them as well. Malka sports guy, so shout out to Kevin Mouse on that one. But yeah, like you said, Stafford. It's on the man under center, just like Cardinals.
I'm going to give this team a 2-year shelf time to get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. And then if they can't do it, I think Sean McVay has to end up leaving LA. He's a good coach, but if you can't get over that hump and you have so much money tied up between just like 8 players,
and you got no draft picks in the future.
There's no draft capital till 2025.
Yeah, you're not going to get any younger, so it's going to come to a point where you gotta make some moves now, and they did, and they put all their chips on Matthew Stafford.
We will see how this ends up going into the season. But let's head into the NFC West champion, Seattle Seahawks, where I still like this offense. They did acquire Gabe Jackson from the Raiders' implosion of their offensive line. I believe they acquired him for a 4th-round pick. But Gerald Everett, another guy that did leave the Rams, really good tight end for Russell Wilson. Best tight end probably since Jimmy Graham, if I want to say something about that myself. But DK Metcalf, you know what you're getting out of there. Tyler Lockett, if you're going to play him in fantasy, it's probably the weaker. Tyler Lockett is just going to go off and score 45 on you. But I still think this offense is top 10. Let Russ cook. I mean, I don't know if you're still feeling about that since the Buffalo disaster last year, but I just want to see Russ cook. I want him to receive at least a MVP vote.
Well, he had it till the debacle last season, so he kind of did that to themselves. But oh my gosh, their defense. When I look at this team, it's their defense. That just like makes me like, they're not winning the division.
Yeah, I mean. You have Jamal Adams you acquired last year in the offseason. You get Carlos Dunlap that you acquired midseason. Bobby Wagner, top 3 linebacker, best linebacker in the league. But other than that, like you look at the secondary, the Legion of Boom, you think of, Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. Jamal Adams, yeah, we all know what he's going to do. He's going to be playing linebacker and, every single position on the field. Quandre Diggs, you know what you're going to get out of that. And really, I know Trey Flowers and Demarius Randall. I don't really know Witherspoon or DJ Reed. I don't know these guys. I don't know what to expect from the Seahawks this year, especially in the secondary. And with how aerial this the offenses, if I can speak, that would be amazing. From Kyler Murray having someone on this team has to cover D-Hop. Someone has to.
Well,
I don't know how you're going to be stopping Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and they're just going to be running slants over the middle, and they're just going to be like, oof, one side of the field to the other in 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, they let their best corner go, so that kind of tells you all you need to know in Griffin. But, yeah, I didn't want to run off the offense right away. I'm just saying this team is just bad. This defense is absolutely awful. It's like Dallas. This team could put up 40, but guess what?
I think this defense is way better than Dallas, though. I don't think anything's better tend Dallas.
I have to agree with you, but I mean, Jamal Adams can't catch a cold. Quandre Diggs is a thumper. You can literally just throw all over the secondary, and they have no pass rush. Carlos Dunlap was good for them last year, but that's it. So this defense is pretty bad. It's up there with Dallas. It's one of the worst, and Atlanta's. They're bad. And you got away with it last year because San Fran was the injured list. San Francisco injured list. Arizona botched it away at the end of the season. And the Rams, they had a backup quarterback to finish the season. So they're not winning the division again, Seattle. So that's a check mark off the list.
I might honestly write them out of the playoffs. I don't think
I can't disagree with you.
I'm kind of feeling this, but I have to watch some preseason tape before I can honestly decide what happens there. Witherspoon was terrible.
Thank you, TJ.
I'm pretty sure I had him in Madden too. I had to cut him, but
TJ, I can't disagree with you. Their secondary is bad. I mean, you trade for Jamal Adams with 2 first-round picks for a guy that can just blitz. Again, Jamal Adams is very good. I'm not saying he's not. He's in the top 100 list for a reason. But you have to be able to make plays in the back end, and he can't. He's more explosive when he's down in the box. If that's how you want to use him, great, but the secondary is just awful. And that's kind of where I'm at on this team. The secondary is bad. Al Woods, I believe, comes from Dallas.
Al Woods has been all over the place in this league. I believe he was on the Jaguars at one point, and he definitely was on Dallas, I believe, last year.
Yeah, I think he's been to Dallas, I think, maybe the last few seasons, but he was definitely there last year. But I can't get behind this team. And, I have to agree with you. If you're going to give me, a bold take for the year, Seattle not making the playoffs is definitely one of the bold takes because this defense is bad. As long as the other teams in the division stay healthy, They're sure as heck not winning the division.
I would say even if the offenses in the division stay healthy, because that's 6 games and there's 6 good offenses.
Yeah.
And if you can't stop a nosebleed from them, forget about it.
Forget about it. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Bold take. We have have to have like a bold take for like going into the first like regular season game.
Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be having bold takes.
That's a bold take, and I'm gonna buy that bold take, man. I'm gonna buy that one.
And also, before we like head off on this, Vince Wilfork, the 350-pound former New England Patriot defensive lineman, has more career interceptions than Jamal Adams. Just let that sink in there. Big Vince. Big Vince. I gotta get his jersey at some point.
There's your little jab there. There's the jet jab I was waiting for. But
listen, hold on. Let's cut to this angle here. I got my Jamal Adams Pro Bowl jersey over here. Okay, I got that up there. It may have came in a day after he got traded, but I have it. Okay.
That's great. Yeah, it's not a shot at him, but their secondary is bad. You didn't make it any better, and you gave up first-round picks that could have made it better. Like, you could have – oh, my gosh. Mind blown. It's really what it is. I don't really know what to say about that, but they're not winning the division, and I like your take. They may not make the playoffs. I'm fully – I usually think you're literally silly. I'm like, Will, oh, my – you just said this. I have to walk off. I don't know if it's because you're working with the NFL now or what, but I have to fully agree on that one. I love that. I love that take. I'm in on it.
I think the Seahawks are a 9-win team for sure, but 9 wins in the NFC is not going to get you to the playoffs. I think it did last year. It did last year for the Chicago Bears, but it's not going to this year. Okay.
No, not with this division, especially if they're all healthy. Not at all. There's no shot that's happening again.
But, ladies and gentlemen, this rounds out our show. Colton, I want to talk about what you got going over there on the Personal Foul podcast?
Yeah, I was just looking at their schedule before we wrap up.
Okay.
There's a ton of hard games. They literally have like maybe 3 easy games on the schedule. Yeah, Seattle's literally 9 games might be a stretch for this team. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm looking at this schedule. While I'm talking about it, literally look at their schedule and tell me I'm wrong. The schedule is awful. Good luck, Seattle. Oh, my goodness gracious. But, yeah, finally getting the Personal Foul podcast back up and going. Shows coming sporadically, but I try to keep the guest where it's a good guest where it's like, he hasn't done a show in a while. But, here we go. Here's a good guest. So I'm having former Steelers running back, Jonathan Dwyer on this week on Tuesday. So be on the lookout for that. So I'm excited for that. But, again, big point of this show, shout out to my man Will, big boy job. I'm happy as heck for you and excited to see where your stuff goes, and I can't wait to see where your journey goes, my man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. And I just looked at their schedule. I could guarantee 1 win, and that's against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, their schedule's brutal. Their schedule is absolutely brutal. And I don't feel bad. So let Russ cook. Thanks, Seattle. Fangul. How about that, man?
But you can follow the Play Extra Podcast over on Twitter, Play Extra Pod 1, Instagram, the Play Extra Podcast, and over on Facebook, Play Action Podcast. Find us over on YouTube at the Play Extra Podcast. Subscribe to us. We'll get notifications when we go live, all sorts of fun stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, the tour ends next week with the AFC North, and we do have special guests coming on for that, and I'm very excited. Do we want to spoil it now, or do we want to wait till next week before it?
We'll get there next week. We'll go there next week with that one.
All right, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Tune back next Wednesday as we will be finishing the divisional previews.